Greetings. This is another Voice in the Storm, but this time it's Voice in the Storm Light. No caffeine, no sugar, no additives, no GMOs, and no, what am I going to say? No gluten, of course, no gluten. So, I've been wanting to talk about baseball, team sports in general, but baseball, I'm watching the Red Sox play the Houston Astros, tremendous team. So this is hard. They're getting down to the wire, and they're four games out of the wild card race. And so they have to really win every game, and they're up against some real tight competition. But what I've noticed is there are different factors that have affected the game, I think, in a negative way, since I was a kid. When the game was basically going to be viewed, my very first game, about 6 years old, saw Ted Williams play, so you can figure the time frame. And that was a game, the baseball was a game. Either you were there at the park, or you were listening to it on the radio or seeing. I'm not sure when the first live broadcast on television was, but mostly it's an in-person sport. And it always has been. And that's part of its charm, is that the in-person sports are where you can go hang out, watch these amazing feats of physical endurance and ability and just incredible stuff that these folks can do. And that's why we watch. And we come to care for them. And that comes to my first point, which I think is just a terrible thing, actually, the way it works, which is the constant sort of trading and negotiating, trading up for money for the players and trading for a different player and so forth. We've gotten rid of some really, and everybody questioned it. It wasn't just me saying it, but everybody questioned the Mookie Betts thing, amongst others. We got Trevor Story back because he was hot, you know. But anyway, he's doing okay. He's, off and on like a lot of the hitting. But the trading thing, I think, it spoils the game in the sense that you don't have the same team for even a whole season necessarily. There's also a lot of sending the guys down to AAA or to the one step below the bigs, and basically there's a lot of that goes on. I didn't used to in the past. I didn't see that much of that. I can't remember that being a thing. And then, so anyway, the trades, I think, hurt the game in that you don't have the same team for any real length of time. Sometimes keeping the core, whoever they think is the core at that time, and Chaim Bloom is deciding, along with, I don't know if John Henry, how much he gets in the mix at this point. He has other things to do. He's got it with a hockey team, I think. Yeah. But anyway, so I don't know if it's a hockey or soccer. I can't remember which. But anyway, so I mean, Bloom seems like a really smart guy, a baseball guy. He loves the game and all that. But I don't know how the decision making shapes up when it comes to these trades and who you keep and who you don't keep. But anyway, I'd like to see some of the same players, staying with the team. The team, whatever team is successful, you just keep them, And that's kind of the way I remember it being when I was a kid. But anyway, so that has really changed the game. The other thing is the money. If you come up to some person, any person, and say, so, and this is a person you don't know, because we don't know the baseball players personally. Okay, so you go up to him and ask a stranger, so, how much money do you make? They're gonna, it's none of your business. And you don't walk around unless you're bragging about something or, you're crying about something. So it's one or the other, So the money, knowing what these guys make, creates an incredible amount of pressure on the player. And there's no way around it. Knowing that Rafi Devers is making $360 million for a 10-year contract. Okay, so $36 million a year. It's big, it's huge. That makes it tougher for him as a young man, to just go out and have fun. And that is part of the point. Again, the game was a game to go to the park, have some food, some libation, and just watch the game and hang out. Beautiful day, summer day, and nothing could be better. You just watch this game slowly unfold. Some are slower than others. But anyway, that's what the game was for. And, all of this money and attention and media put on these guys has made that a real point of contention. He's not worth that. He's not hitting worth a damn. Every day of that person's life, and if he gets injured, which I've seen Rafi Devers swing so hard that he threw his back out. I watched it. I could see it happening when it happened. It's like a swing like that. If he had hit that ball, I don't know where it would have ended up in Kenmore Square. Not just on Lansdowne Street, but in Kenmore Square, if he had hit that ball. But he torqued his back, and he was out. And I knew he was going to be out as soon as I saw the swing. But he gets hurt a lot. Players get hurt a lot more now because they're playing so hard. They're playing, with a lot of adrenaline on just, at certain points. But they're jacked up. They're young. They're pumping testosterone and everything else, and they just, play very, very hard, and they get injured. And that goes with the pitchers, of course. They had to throw in the 90s. And if you can get up to 100 and plus, you're just, you're throwing really, really hard. Now, if you do it correctly, you won't hurt yourself, but you're not going to do it correctly every time. So we have a lot of injuries, that, again, not sure whether there's less pressure on the game, or less, it was more fun. Not sure how many injuries there were. I think the other part of that is you got a lot of young guys because they're great poster boys for baseball, and it's great. They're great, talented, young guys. And that's too bad. There needs to be older people in it. When I say older people, I mean, 30, in their 30s, is fine. When you get to 35, they're starting to say, yeah, you're old, you're getting old. And then 39, 40 years old, you definitely, most of the guys are through before that. But the truth is that Satchel Paige played to in his 50s. I think he was at least 51. But anyway, and still elite, and still in the elite class of ball players. And so we, in any case, so all of these things become psychologically difficult for anybody who's doing anything. I mean, it would be the same in any team endeavor, let's say. And the Astros are making too many good plays. Okay, so anyway, we have these different things which dovetail into the, the way the game is seen, the way the players are seen. So I say, stop telling people what you're paying. It's nobody's business, really. It's their family's business, and it's your business, okay? So let's get rid of that. Stop saying how much you paid for him. It's messed up. Next is, so we get, and again, the youth of the players, right, okay. So we had what? The trades, the money, and the youth of the players, and now we can go on to the psychology. Now, when you're in the booth talking about a game, how much psychology, it does get talked about, like how these guys are doing injury-wise, stats-wise. Not exactly, we don't always know what's going on, obviously, in the clubhouse, but we know that that's a big factor. And again, it's a fun factor, not just for us in the audience, but it's a fun factor for the ball players. And usually, if you're having fun with your teammates, the brotherhood that takes place in the locker room, then you're not having fun on the field. It's always something weighing you down. And so, not knowing exactly what's happening in these guys' personal lives necessarily, we don't need to know. Other than we want to wish them well and think of them kindly, in whatever is happening in their lives, and for them to go out and have fun. Quick story: when I was working as the assistant manager in the audiovisual services at the Sheridan, my boss was once a baseball player, tall, lanky guy, perfect baseball pitcher look, from the Midwest, I think. And anyway, we were out in the quadrangle at the Prudential Center, throwing the ball back and forth. He had a good arm, I have a good arm. We're lofting the ball because we're spreading out further and further as we go along. We're having a good time, just having fun, flinging the ball. And but one of the balls got by me, and it ended up rolling into the foot of some guy that was sitting there, who complained. And security came out and told us to cease and desist this wild ball throwing. And then, so we were like, we're having such fun. And then this guy came up to us, and he said, I saw what was happening, with that guy. He was an asshole. He said, yeah, he was, He said, but I wanted to let you guys know that I really loved watching you throw the ball because you were having fun. And I kind of forgot about having fun playing ball. Turned out he was the starting pitcher for next night's game for the Seattle Mariners. And so we got a few tickets. Took my oldest son, so my boss and myself, and I believe the Red Sox lost because our starting pitcher was having fun. But what a great thing. And a real statement from a real ball player who said, the fun had been sucked out of me for whatever reason. But, we've been talking about the reasons here. And I think they're good reasons. So anyway, the psychology and the fun factor in the locker room is everything. These guys got to be enjoying this game. As soon as you put all of this nonsense into the game that has nothing to do with the game, it's the money, the media is all over you. I mean, really, all over you. Yeah, bad throw. Like, terrible throw by Chris Sales, just first base to get this guy out. God. It's awful. It's just awful. And then he probably should have just let it go. They would have got the out. It was going to bounce over his head. Oh, God. It's an example of a guy not having fun right now. It's early in the game. It was like the top of the fourth. He's already pitched 61 pitches. And it's 2-2. Anyway, so there are all these factors which I think are messing with the game. And then this idea of a pitch clock, which it's controversial. They're checking it out. They're seeing how. And the game times have been cut down, because there are a lot of times I mean, I've watched a lot of pitchers stand there for a long, long, long time, and everybody's going like, "What the fuck? Why did he throw the ball?" So I've seen it, you know. So I get it. Okay, maybe, you know, we'll see. Bigger bases. I'm not quite sure what the point of that is. Does that mean that it's easier to get to the base? It's also easier to tag somebody out, you know. So I guess that speeds things up. I guess. But anyway, so baseball is boring, man. It's too slow. Shut up. It's not too slow. You're too fast. Okay. So, I think that's, as I say, part of the whole point of the game is it's slow and meant to be enjoyed mostly in person. You know. Now that said, the production values and what they do with the media is unbelievable. And the angles and the replays, the slow mo, the strike zone, the great calling in the booth, you know, and just spectacular. I mean, the coverage is amazing. You can't see a game like this when you're there. You know, there's no comparison. It's a completely different experience. You get up close and personal with these players in terms of angles and distance from the player. So, wow. I mean, just incredible. We don't need to hear about Toyota, though. Yeah, let's keep it down. So, anyway, that's what's up. You know, today it's a storm. The storm in the voice. Light. And so that's all I have to say right now. But love you. Be well.